life. 200 layer beds are producing 200 eggs each day. This means that one layer is producing one egg each day. Every blessed day, one layer bed is producing one egg. So cumulatively, 200 layer beds are producing 200 eggs in a day. So in a month, which is 30 days, you are having 200 times 30, and that gives you 6,000 eggs in a month. In our part of the country, we sell the eggs most of the time in crates, and so a crate contains 30 eggs. And so if you want to translate that 6,000 eggs into crates, then you are having 200 crates in a month. And so it is also very important to appreciate the fact that there will definitely be some mortalities. Mortality simply means death. And so putting that in mind, I would recommend you buy a little more than 200 to add to your layer bed, so that even if you lose some, you will still end up with 200, which is your projection. It has been found out that a recommended mortality rate that you should be expecting as normal in your housing is 5%. And so 200 beds with 5% mortality will produce 10 mortalities. That means 10 beds may be dying from day 1 to week 80, and this is normal. But if you are experiencing more than that, then it presupposes that you are not doing something right. Maybe the vaccinations are not on time, medications are not on time, and please stick to this video. We are going to delve into all these issues in details. So kindly subscribe, kindly like this channel, and kindly leave a comment. Now, it's just fair that I explain to you what poultry layers is, because there are two types of poultry beds. We have the broiler and then we have the layers. And so one will care to know what's the difference between the broiler and the layer. Now, the broiler beds they look just like the layer beds. Actually, if you are not told that this is layer and this is broiler, you will not be able to tell the difference. But then, depending on what you want to do, if you are raising birds for meat, then broiler is what you go for, because they are genetically engineered to grow faster and to grow bigger. And so if you want meat, or if you want to sell birds for meat, then broiler is definitely what you want to go for. And between 6 weeks to 8 weeks, broilers are ready for sale. They are matured and ready for sale. But when you come to the layer are engineered to lay eggs, and the duration with which it takes for them to start laying eggs is quite long as compared to the broiler. It takes from day 1 to 6 months for a layer to begin to lay eggs. So that is the difference between the broiler and the layers. But you can also do layers for consumption, that is for the meat, but it will not make business sense raising a bird for 6 months, feeding that bird for all these months just for consumption. The amount of money people would be willing to pay for that bird will be way too less as compared to the amount of energy and effort and the feed you may have spent raising that bird. So the layers are specifically for laying eggs. You get the eggs and then you sell the eggs. So layers are basically egg manufacturers. You keep them, feed them, take care of them just to lay eggs for you to sell and make money. 70 to 75% of the total cost of raising poultry beds goes into feed. Now, the layer beds consume a lot of feed, and so you should be preparing to buy a lot of feed in order to arrive at your goal of making $500 monthly. In as much as you are buying feed, your profit is rest assured. Once you are able to do everything right, you are going to make your profit. No two ways about that. So this video is going to explain and show you how the feed cost component comes to play and what you need to do in preparation for that. There are 3 different stages of the layer production. We have the starter stage, we have the grower stage, and we have the layer stage. Now each stage lasts within a certain period. Now the starter stage lasts for 6 weeks. The layer stage lasts for 12 weeks from the 7th week to the 18th week. And then the final stage, which is the layer stage, lasts from the 18th to the 80th or 75th week. So each stage requires a certain amount of feed. The first stage, which is the starter stage, one chick is going to consume 1 kilogram of feed throughout that period. And so if you have 200 layers, then it presupposes that you are going to provide 200 kilograms of feed throughout the period of 6 weeks. So in our part of the country, Ghana, 1 bag of feed weighs 50 kilograms. And so that means 200 kilograms of feed means that you are buying 4 bags. The mathematicians will bear with me. Okay. So 1 bag contains 50 kilograms of feed. And so 200 kilograms of feed means that you are going to buy 4 bags throughout the entire period of 6 weeks of raising 200 layers. Now 1 bag of feed in my area is 404 Ghana cedis. And so when you multiply that by 4, you should be getting approximately 1,700 Ghana cedis. So that is how much you would be spending raising layer beds throughout the period of 6 weeks on feed alone. The next stage is the grower stage. At this stage, please brace yourself. This is one of the stages that the layers consume a lot of feed. So at this stage, the birds, a layer is consuming 8 kg of feed throughout the entire period. And this period lasts from 7th week to the 18th week. And there are about 12 weeks within this period. So throughout the entire period of 12 weeks, 1 chick or 1 layer is going to consume 8 kilograms of feed. So if you have 200 layers, then you are going to multiply that 8 kilograms by 200, and that will give you the total amount of feed or the total weight of feed your birds accumulatively are going to consume. If you are giving 8 kilograms of feed to your 200 layers throughout the period of 12 weeks, then you should know that you are going to multiply 8 kilograms by 200 birds. So 8 kilograms multiplied by 200 birds is 1,600 kilograms. And so throughout the period of 12 weeks, from the 7th week to the 18th week, you are providing 1,600 kilograms of feed to your birds. So as discussed earlier, 1 bag of feed weighs 50 kilograms, but now you have 1,600 kilograms of feed. So 1,600 kilograms of feed translates into 32 bags of feed. So you would need 32 bags of feed throughout the period of 12 months. Note, the first stage, you required only 4 bags. Now it has graduated from 4 bags to 32 bags of feed. And so you should brace yourself during this period and to spend a lot of money on feed. So at the grower stage, the grower mash, which is the feed you give to the layers at this stage, which is the grower stage, the cost or the price of the feed is 368 Ghana cedis. So now you would have to multiply 368 by 32 bags. When you multiply 32 bags by 368 Ghana cedis, you would be arriving at 11,776 Ghana cedis. So that is how much you will be spending on feed throughout the entire duration of 12 months, from the 7th week to the 18th week. 11,776 Ghana cedis. So now, adding 11,776 Ghana cedis to 1,616 cedis, you would be arriving at 13,392 Ghana cedis. The first stage, the second stage. Now, at the third stage, which is the layer stage, also require a different set of feed, which is the layer mash. But I'm going to end the cost of feed at the second stage, which is the grower stage, because at the end of this stage, which is the 18th week, the chicks or the layers will begin to lay eggs. And so from this stage, you are getting some profits already coming in. And so whatever income that you are generating from selling the eggs, you will be able to purchase feed easily. The vaccines come in a very small bottle meant for 1,000 birds. So in this case, you are raising 200 birds, but there's no flexibility of measuring 200 or vaccines that is enough for 200 birds. They do not have the luxury of time to do that for you. And so even though you are raising 200 birds, you still have to buy the vaccine for 1,000 birds. Okay, and that is the disadvantage of buying vaccines from the public or the government setup. Even though the price of their vaccine is relatively lesser than when you purchase it from the private setups. But the other advantage of buying vaccines from the private setup is that even though the vaccines come to satisfy 1,000 birds, if you want to buy 200, they are able to measure exactly what you need for 200 birds, and the price that you are purchasing that for is for exactly 200 birds. That means you do not have to buy vaccines for 1,000 birds just to use on 200 birds, because if you are buying vaccines for 1,000 birds, you know that you are going to spend more as compared to buying for 200 birds. So that is the flexibility you have when you buy from the private setup. But the disadvantage is that the vaccine lasts for only 2 hours, just 2 hours. And so as soon as you purchase it, you should quickly rush home and dilute the vaccine in a recommended amount of water and then give it to your birds. Otherwise, after 2 hours, the vaccines will not work anymore. As compared to the 1,000 or the vaccine that has not been opened yet or has not been measured yet. So you have it still in the bottle. That way you have a luxury of time to comfortably dispense the vaccines into the water for the layer beds without rushing to go to the house, because after 2 hours it will not work anymore. So that is the nitty-gritty of where you are purchasing your vaccines. And if you were buying vaccines for 1,000 birds from the private, you may be spending about 1,600 Ghana cedis. But if you were buying from the public or the government setup, you would be buying it for about 1,400 cedis. And so you are able to save 200 cedis when you buy from the government setup. However, there is no flexibility to buy exactly what you need. That is why people would prefer going to the private setup rather than the government setup. But if you have 1,000 birds and above, then of course you go to the government setup where you can get vaccines for exactly 1,000 birds. So that is the cost component of the vaccines. Now let's move to medications. Now the medication for 200 birds will cost you about 500 Ghana cedis. And I wouldn't want to go into details what medications you'll be buying. Hopefully in subsequent videos I will expatiate and explain all the The bird is pecking me. I would explain all the medication you would require in order to raise 200 birds. In addition to everything that I have said, we need to consider the cost of constructing a housing system. Now, definitely when you even decide to buy your birds, you should be preparing a place where your birds would, live their life. And so a housing system is very important. So per calculations and summations of all the other components that goes into the housing system, you should be spending about 10,000 to 11,000 Ghana cedis on constructing your housing system. 10,000 to 11,000 constructing your housing system. So the wood you are buying, the roofing sheets, the nails, the wire nets and the wire mesh, the nets and all the other components that comes to play. You should be spending about 10,000 to 11,000 Ghana cedis constructing your housing system. Now the other variable is the labor cost, or whoever is constructing your housing system would have to be paid. Now most of the time you just do a 20% of the total cost of spending, but depending on the area that you are coming from or the area where you are, the wages or the cost of constructing the housing system varies. But what I noticed was that you should be spending about 20% of the total cost of constructing the housing system. And so per calculation, you should be spending about 2,000 to 2,500 Ghana cedis on paying the labor cost for constructing the housing system. Electrical work and the other little work that will be involved. And some of them you don't even think that you would need them until maybe after you have constructed your housing system. Then you would know that, oh, I need this thing, otherwise things may not go well and all of those things. So you should be expecting things like that. And so the total cost of the non-structural expenses, you should be looking around 500 to 1,000 Ghana cedis on non-structural expenses. So we are gradually coming to the end of the video. I hope up to this point this video has been of great value and you are enjoying the video. There are one or two cost components that are very important. If you are raising layer birds, definitely you have to buy the old chicks. If you are not buying the old chicks, then what are you doing? You definitely have to buy the old chicks. And hatchery prices differ from one hatchery to the other, and so some would be selling one day old chick for 14 cedis, others will be selling for 18 cedis, others for 16 cedis, others for 12 cedis, and so the prices vary. And at different seasons, last year the prices of day old chick is different from how much they are selling for this year. And so as at the time that this video is made, the prices of chick, it still even varies. Because you are getting some for 14 cedis, you are getting some for 16 cedis, and you are also getting some for 18 cedis. But the most important thing you should bear in mind is that you should buy your day old chicks from very reliable sources. You should be buying your day old chicks from very reliable sources. You should definitely ask around and compare prices. But in as much as you are comparing prices, you should do a lot of investigation to find out which breeds they are producing. Go online, find out the efficiency of that particular breed, and ask around. Go to other poultry farmers and find out which particular breed is doing very well, and that will give you that will give you some idea on which hatchery you should be going to buy your day-old chick. And so you should be spending around 3,500 to 4,000 Ghana cedis. And so you should be spending between 3,500 Ghana cedis to 4,000 Ghana cedis on day-old chicks if you are buying 200 beds. Okay, so now there are other costs that you should bear in mind. I mean, you are doing transports day in, day out. When you are going to take your day-old chicks from the hatchery, you would have to put them in some transport system. You have to transport yourself to go and come. And so all these transportations will have to come in. When you go take your sawdust from the carpentry shop, definitely you have to transport them from that place and back to your setup. And so all these costs would come to play. And so you should be spending some amount of money on electricity. You should be spending some amount of money in water bills. You should be spending some amount of money buying your drinkers and your feeders. And so doing 200 beds, you will need at least 7 drinkers. You will also need about the same number of feeders, about 6 to 7 feeders, in order to be sufficient enough to feed all the layers. I nearly said to feed everybody. I would like to thank you very much for following through this video to the end. I hope this video gave you the value that you require, and I hope you subscribe, I hope you comment, and I hope you like this video. This, as I said, is a great motivation for me to continuously make similar videos and even more videos on agribusiness and more.